Welcome back to another episode of the Flying G Huddle, your inside look at Gladwin football. I'm Casey Campbell. I'm your host. Below me is my co-host for this episode in the entire series is Gladwin head football coach Marc Jarstfer. How's it going? Welcome back. Do we let somebody in?
Yeah, it looks like we let somebody in. Yeah,
We did let somebody in.
Unique episode.
It is. If you don't know who this is the head football coach at Clare. That of course is Steven Spranger. Of course, Steven and I recorded a podcast by ourselves to preview this upcoming game. If you haven't noticed, Gladwin and Clare are playing each other this week, so we thought it'd be a good to since these two used to coach together and are good friends. We figured we'd get them on. So. Steven, I know you watched this show, but welcome. You are the show's first official guest. How about that?
I'm honored to be a part of the huddle.
Awesome. So let's start with you, Steven. Kind of explain to the audience how well you two know each other.
Pretty well. We go way back to our playing days in high school. He was a grade ahead of me, playing for Coach Luplo. And then we joined forces on Loop's coaching staff. I'm not exactly sure of the year. They all tend to blur together during that period of time. And then we were coaching together on the JV staff. And all along that, we became really close. Our families became close. Our kids became close. And we talk about everything daily. Sometimes you scroll through that Facebook Messenger chat. That thing is probably thicker than a dictionary, but yeah, we go way back and have a definite history for sure.
Yeah. Marc, of course, this is actually the first time that you two have actually coached together. I know you both coached at Clare, but what's it going to be like with at Clare with you two going against each other?
Yeah, I mean, we got a chance to go at it last year as well, and so this will be our second time to do it. But it's always awesome to go back to Clare. It's a place that I'm comfortable, spent a lot of time. I was there for 12 years, and so it's cool seeing all the familiar faces on the other sideline and in the crowd, and always makes for a really good game as well.
Yeah. So of course, going in, kind of talk about we'll obviously talk about Marc's we'll obviously talk more about Gladwin in a little bit, but Steven, kind of talk about for the audience that might not know how you guys are doing this year.
Yeah, we're off to a 2-1 start. We let one slip away against Freeland, a tremendous Division IV team. That was probably one of the more physical games that I've ever been a part of as far as a coach goes. I mean, anytime you get a chance to go up against a team as quality as Freeland and Gladwin as well, you're always excited for the challenge at hand. And then we were able to right some things with Pinconning and Beaverton. And now we're looking forward to a tremendous challenge this upcoming Friday.
Yeah. By the way, shout out Pinconning, got their first win of I think the past I believe it was 16 games. So congrats to those guys. So all right. Last one more question for you, bud. Steven, what kind of just talk about some of the guys that are on your team that'll be some names to watch out for.
Yeah. We're really excited about our team. A lot has been mentioned about our experience, and we've got a handful of 4-year guys and 3-year guys as well. So like Jaden Arthur is going to be our quarterback. He's kind of a heady guy that can always get us in the right spots. And then we have Ryan Lauch on the outside that will move around to different places. And he's probably, like Gladwin has as well, one of the better athletes in the area with the ball in his hands. And then we're pretty excited about our offensive line. That's where a lot of our experience lies. And like any coach will say, the game is won and lost in the trenches. So those guys are a big piece of what we do. A couple other guys mentioned: Carter Smedley, Ryan Rodenbow, Weston Bryant, Aiden Van Bon. Definite guys that will stand out, and we're excited about the game this coming Friday, and also for the rest of the season as we move on.
All right. Okay, so last question. I know you've got some more film prep to do, Steven. So, and also I'll ask you this as well, Mark. But your both of your outlooks heading into the game. Steven, I'll start with you.
Yeah, like I said, anytime you get an opportunity to measure yourself against one of the better teams and programs in the state. I mean, Gladwin's not 28-1 the last 3 years as a fluke. So they're definitely for real. They've got guys everywhere: Trace Corlew, Jace Massey, Finnegar, their quarterback, and Richie, their running back, and especially with a massive offensive line, and pair that with a great coaching staff that Coach Marc Jarstfer has surrounded himself with, Coach Emiot and the like. We're certainly excited for the task at hand. We're going to have to play extremely well to be successful, but you can say that for any game in our league.
Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a really interesting matchup just because we're two very similar teams. Like Steven talked about, we both have some dynamic athletes. Clare obviously has a ton of experience coming back, even though they played in various different roles over the past few years. But it's still varsity experience. They're used to the speed of the game. Their strengths are similar to our strengths as far as offensive line and big, strong, physical kids on those offensive and defensive lines. And then, they do a good job of spreading it out and getting it into their athletes' hands. And so I'm sure it'll be a chess match, if you will, with scheme and trying to figure each other out and put our kids in the best position to win. But I anticipate a really good game that likely comes down to turnovers and the very basic elementary parts of what helps you win football games.
All right. Well, Steven, thanks for coming on here for a little bit. Of course, we'll have the interview with Just You coming up later on in the day. But best of luck to you guys against Gladwin.
Appreciate it. Thank you. See you guys later.
Steve.
All right. All right. Well, okay. That was fun. We've never had a guest on here before. So what was that like having him on?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a unique experience. There's not very many times, I think, in coaching that you get to play a game against somebody that you're so close with and talk with daily and that kind of stuff. And so, it's a unique relationship. It makes for a unique game. My history, having been in Clare, always makes this week a special matchup that I look forward to. Just because it's going to be high quality football. You're going to get a good plan offensively and defensively from them, and so it really brings out the best in us as well. And so it was unique, but we're looking forward to that matchup once again.
Okay. We'll talk a little bit more about that matchup later on in the show. We'll also make your in this week's edition of Beat JARSTFER. By the way, you did pretty good this week. 8-2 in the college games, and you also had the Lions beating the Chiefs, so that was good. So
yeah, it was tough. It was tough, but I did follow that and noticed that things were going in my favor. So that was a relief.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, we got some games to pick this week. I might pick along with you because why not? But let's go back and let's go. Yeah, this is kind of weird. We're gonna go. We went forward. Now we're gonna go back. Let's talk about the week 3 win against Shepherd. So of course, what a way to start off the game. Two Braden Ritchie touchdowns to get it started and go up 14-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah, and so initially Shepherd won the toss and deferred, and so we received the ball off the start. We were 3 and out, and our defense did a really good job of containing them and getting the ball back. And then we got our second crack at it. We were able to go down the field and go up 7-0. And really that drive was primarily led by Braden Ritchie. He had a long 30 or 40 yard run in that, and then capped it off with the 11-yard run as well. And so it was good to just see him running really tough. He's a big body kid with good speed and athleticism, and up to this point we've relied on some of the other guys, and so this game was kind of a his chance or opportunity to shine, and he took advantage of it. And so, then the defense obviously got another stop, and it was similar type of thing. We were able to march down the field, and he ultimately punched that in to make it 14-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah. To the second we go. Shepherd got on the board with an Ashton Luckhart touchdown from the pass from Beasley, and then you get a nice fumble recovery from Jace Massey.
Yeah, and so if you remember back to the Ogama game, it was kind of like deja vu. It was a super critical part in the game. Shepherd had come back down the field with a super long drive that resulted in that 2-yard pass. I believe that was actually on 4th down. They threw a slant across, and Trace was in pretty good coverage, but he just got beat inside, and they were able to hold on to it even when he made a play on the ball. And so, that closed things down a little bit. And then we ended up punting on our next possession. And they basically chewed up the rest of that clock. In the second half, they had it with a minute or two left in the first quarter, all the way down until about a minute in the second quarter, with them possessing the ball. And so they got down to about our 6 or 5 yard line, and they were getting ready to potentially punch it in to tie the score up. And we got that timely fumble, which was a really nice play by our freshman outside linebacker, Harvey Grove. He kind of came up on the play, and it was bottled up, and he ripped the ball out, and it just popped in the perfect spot where Jace could scoop it up and race down the sideline for another long fumble recovery touchdown, which again, just like I said in that Ogama game, kind of changed the dynamic of the game, because you look at that, and I mean, they're on the 5 yard line. If they're able to punch that thing in, it ends up being pretty much 14-14 likely going into the half. And instead, we go into half with a 2 touchdown lead. And so super timely, great play by our young freshman, Harvey Grove, to strip it out, and then heads up and a good show of athleticism for Jace to scoop it and head all the way.
Yeah. Okay. So that was a 27 lead by the Flying G's at halftime, and then no scoring in the third quarter, but we pick it up in the fourth, and Colton Finnegar scored a 12-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, and so we decided to switch it up. I mean, we had been kind of a more inside condensed formation, like run heavy type offense in that first half. And we wanted to spread it out in the second half and see what we could do with some of our jet concepts and quarterback runs and that type of thing. And so, we were able to get some of that side to side game going, which then, opened it up for him to be able to pull the ball and kind of puncture the defense right up the middle. And so it was a nice, tough run. I think a guy or two got a hand on him, but he ran, physically and was able to punch it into the end zone. And then, to round out the game, Luckhart had another receiving touchdown to close it back within, 2 scores. And they made a good push late, but our guys did a really good job of adjusting on the fly with some defensive adjustments that we made to kind of help out our secondary and put guys in different positions than we normally would, as far as alignments and that sort of thing. And so they did a really good job of adjusting on the fly, like I said, and it, helped us close out that game. And so complete, team effort. We had a lot of good plays on special teams as well. We did miss a couple extra points, but as far as like kick coverage and being able to punt the ball and flip the field, it was a good all around team effort.
Absolutely. And I do want to say also, Shepherd did score another touchdown, and the final was 26-14. So yeah, you just said it. You guys are 3-0 on the year. We're a third of the way through the high school football season. So that is so hard to believe. And what's it kind of like to just be 3-0 after these 3 games?
Yeah, I mean, it's been good. We've been challenged, in a multitude of different ways, from seeing, kind of like the power I and a very, very good Ogama team into full house T with Harrison, and then now into a little bit more of like an RPO spread, power run out of the spread look type team. And so that's been difficult to game plan and have to jump from style to style to style every week. But it's good, and it's a positive sign for our kids that they're able to pick up on those types of things, and they're taking it serious. And when they do that, we're always gonna have a good opportunity to be successful. And so it's really kudos to them for buying in and putting in the work. But we're sitting in a good spot right now.
So going into this game, with Clare, what's that going to be like heading in? This is probably one of the toughest tests that you guys have faced so far this year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to have huge implications on the conference championship as well. We're the last two unbeaten teams in the Jack Pine Conference play, and so we're both sitting there at 2-0. And so, it's whoever is able to win that is going to be the front runner and control their own destiny. We would like that to be us, obviously. But Clare's a very talented team, like we kind of talked about with Steven earlier, and the fact that they're really, really good up front. They have skilled athletes. They have a great coaching staff. And I'm sure they're going to put together a great plan that we're going to have to try to dissect, as the game goes on. And so we're excited for it. It's one of those games where our kids will be up for it. Our coaches will be up for it. And it should be a really nice night of football on Friday.
Yeah. All right. Now, well, it's time for one of the best times of the show. It's time to hand out some hardware. So who are your MVPs for the week?
Yeah, and so this week, I kind of talked about it a little bit ago when we're detailing the game, but Braden Ritchie did a really good job, and so he's our offensive MVP. A lot of times in our offense, our running back, we'll have to carry the load blocking and doing those types of things, and it's kind of just a down and dirty position. And when you're called on to get opportunities to run the ball, you kind of have to take advantage of them because they don't come all that often. And so, he ended up being 7 carries for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns with a long rush of 38 yards. And so he made the most of his opportunities, and it helped us out in a big way. And so, we're really happy with that performance. And obviously he's going to be a guy that we're going to need to rely on going into this week as well and down the stretch of the season. And so it's good to kind of see him have a breakout game. For our defensive MVP, he is Jace Massey. I think we talked about him in other facets of the game and stuff like that. But defensively this week, he kind of also had a breakout game. He's so big and fast and strong. And, this week we really got to see his physicality. Like he was coming up and sticking people in the run game. Obviously, with his athleticism, he's always going to be an asset in pass coverage. But he definitely changed the game this week by running the alley and being able to deliver big hits and stop, Shepard from getting yards after contact and that sort of thing. And so he's our defensive MVP. And then our special team MVP this week, is Matthew Lechner. So that's kind of a new face that we haven't talked a lot about, but he just had one of those memorable hits on kickoff where, he ran down the field and it was a big time, like highlight reel hit. And so, some of those guys get a majority of their opportunities on special teams, and he's one of them, and he, found a way to make the most of it. And so, you got to have, selfless guys like that are willing to do their job, even on a less glorious unit, if you will, with it being special teams. But he's done a nice job so far this year, and we look forward to seeing what else he can do for us on special teams.
All right. Okay, so now it's to that time of the show. It's now time to see if you can beat Jarstfer. I got 5 games for you, bud.
Okay, we'll try it.
Indiana State at Ball State. Steven told me to make some hard matchups for you, but that was one of them.
Goodness. See, this is why we shouldn't have Steven on the show anymore, because I know nothing about either of these teams.
Don't worry, the matchups get easier as they go.
This is going to be, another one of those opportunities for anybody that's wanting to pick along. If you know anything about these, you're probably going to be better than me. And so, I have seen Ball State and some action type stuff in the past. And so, I love good action football. It's always high scoring and that type of thing. So I'll lean blindly with Ball State.
Okay. All right. Let's go with SEC football right here. Tennessee at Florida.
Man, Tennessee is just so efficient with their ability to pass the ball and move it down the field with like quick game stuff. Obviously, Florida is full of athletes everywhere. They always are. I think I'm gonna go with Tennessee in this one. Just their ability to move the ball through the air quickly and not have to face pressure and that kind of stuff, because of long drop back passes, I think helps them spread the field out and able to take advantage of an aggressive defense.
All right. Next game, Western Michigan travels to Iowa.
Yeah, you're going to have to take the Hawkeyes. I mean, that's going to be a tough place to play, right? It's Big Ten football. Western is always a formidable opponent, but Iowa is just, there's something about playing in the Big Ten and especially the brand of football that they play. It's so physical, and those guys seem to be maulers in the run game. So we'll go with Iowa.
Yeah. Virginia Tech at Rutgers.
I mean, it's not at Virginia Tech, so we don't have the Enter Sandman type effect. That factors in. So give me. We'll take Rutgers in this matchup. Just again, kind of side with the Big Ten.
Okay. And finally, the last matchup: Iowa State at Ohio.
Oh, Iowa State, Ohio, huh? We'll go with the Cyclones on this one. I guess they're at Ohio, you said?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting place for them to have to travel. So that'll be interesting, but I just think, Iowa State is a tough team. They always play well in big type environments. And so we'll go with Iowa State, but this is a tough week of picks. And so my confidence scale on 1 to 10 is about a 2 right now. So
you did very well. Yeah, you did very well last week. The only ones you missed were Texas A&M and Alabama. So, right. And you also had the Lions winning. So that was a big one for everybody in the state. So.
Yeah, I drank the blue Kool-Aid, too many times, and it finally paid off. So we'll go with it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Of course, we talked about this a lot early on in the show, but week 4 coming up as you continue your 4-game road trip. Gladwin takes on Clare. Going into that matchup against the Pioneers, it's going to be a fun one. Obviously, we talked about it for a big part of the show early on, but heading into this one, what do you feel like you guys got to do to go to 4-0 on the year?
Yeah, I kind of detailed that a little bit earlier as well, but I just think it's so important in these big time games where everything is really evenly matched and you have a really quality opponent on the other side to be able to take care of the football. So turnovers, if we're able to win the turnover battle, which we've struggled with over these last couple of games, if we're able to get that kind of stuff cleaned up and be in the plus category of the turnover battle, that way we're having more possessions. I think that'll bode well for us. I think that, you have to be able to run the ball, and Clare is a very tough, team to run on. They're big up front. They're athletic everywhere, have great team defensive speed. And so I think if we're able to establish the ability to run the ball and then take care of the football when we're on offense, that'll really be the key offensively. Defensively, they do so much, they're in so many different formations and that sort of thing, that alignment is going to be a huge deal for us, and recognition of what the formation is and where they're trying to attack within that formation. And so just making sure that our guys are properly aligned and communicating. And, if you do that, you're on the right track. Obviously there's got to be the physical component as well, where you got to win some one-on-one battles, but alignment and assignment is about as big of a piece as you can have defensively. And so, I'm hopeful that our guys will buy into the game plan as they have for the last 3 weeks, and really hunker down, knowing that this is a pivotal matchup in the Jack Pine, and will likely decide or go a long way in deciding a champion. I think they'll be excited for it, and it should be a great game on Friday.
Yeah. All right. Of course, that game is at Clare at 7 p.m. So come out and support the Flying G's, or you can support the Pioneers too, of course. But of course, this is the Flying G show. Here we go. All right. Well, Marc Jarstfer, thank you so much for coming on. That's going to do it for this episode of the Flying G Huddle. Tune in next week where we'll recap this game against Clare, and we'll preview next week's game against Meridian. So, yeah. Well, I'm Casey. That's, of course, Coach Jarstfer. We'll talk to you next time.